We are now on our 10th race of the season here in the Herr Sprint Series, yet we remain in Virginia and on the short track. And this one of the most famous short tracks of them all. We have a lot of fun here under the lights, and we are excited to see how this one goes down at the paperclip. It's 50 laps around the Martinsville Speedway here tonight for the Old Dominion 200, the 10th race of the season in the 2024 Herr Sprint Series. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the Martinsville Speedway here for Sprint Series Night in America leading up to Friday night. Old Dominion 500 in the Wawa Cup Series, and we are excited for it. And after the Wawa Cup Series race we had on Saturday at the Rockingham Speedway, we're going to lead up with another good one, and we get a taste of what we're going to see on Friday night here tonight in the Sprint Series race. And what you happen to know, at Juan Romero on the pole for this one here at Martinsville, winner of 3 races this season, including last week's race at South Boston, alongside Matt Tuck. And Matt, you were in the booth for last week's race. You saw what Juan Romero did at the end of that one to get the race victory at a similar track. You think he's going to do it again here tonight for his 4th win of the season in 10 races?
Well, Juan Romero has definitely been on it feels sort of like an Eric Monaco run from back in the day this season, but you like his starting position. He's going to have a lot of hungry drivers in Brandon Nelson, Zayden Davidson, 56 to Christian Master, and never count out 50 of Alexander Rowe just lurking in 5th position. So I think he's going to have a good shot here tonight, but he's going to have some work to do to score another victory this season.
Absolutely will. It's not easy to actually hold on to the lead here in Martinsville. There's a lot of grip going into the corner and not as much going off, and these guys tend to overshoot just a little bit. It's very similar to what we saw last week at South Boston for these guys. And it's going to be fascinating to see what he can do in that 87 for Nicholas Samedio's team. Of course, I know Nicholas is happy about it because he's his full-time driver right there in that 87. He's got him 3 wins already, but he is still 35 points behind Alexander Rowe, more than a whole race win worth of points. And Alexander Rowe starts 5th here tonight in that 50 machine. So we'll have to see how Alexander Rowe can fare with that one, if he can pull away even more. Michael Lewis is 3rd in the points, but oh no, Michael Lewis missed this week's race, so he's going to fall back in the points a little bit. And I think as the season moves along, maybe these full-time guys will actually start getting up there, but they all got to chase Alexander Rowe, who has consistently signed up for the first 10 races of the season. Chris Reynolds, 42 points behind, and the Rowdy Energy Pro Series champion, Vinny Scholes, 43 points behind coming into tonight's event. Alexander Rowe is still on the top 10 streak, but Juan Romero has 3 wins. I'm going to ask you real quick, Mac, which is more impressive between those 2 drivers?
I think they're both incredibly impressive stats, but in an equal rating series, to have 9 top 10s in 9 races and an average finishing position through those 9 races of 5.67. The next closest in the entire series is Chris Reynolds with a 10.11 with drivers with over 8 starts. I mean, this is just absolutely an absurd start to the season by Alexander Rowe. As impressive as Romero's wins are, his stat takes the cake.
Going to be interesting to see what he can do there, starting from the 5th position here tonight. It is Juan Romero who got the fastest time in last week's race alongside Brandon Nelson in the 92. You got Zayden Davidson in the 99 alongside Christian Master in the 56. The 50 machine there of Alexander Rowe to the inside of Daytona winner Corey Case, Baltazar Steep, and Santiago Labarito in row number 4. Chris Reynolds, Anthony McClure make up the top 10 starting positions, and you got the 69 driven this week by Andrew Williams to the inside of the 90 of Joe Rutkowski. 53 is Duncan Ward, and then the 1 machine of Nathan Faden. You got the 39 of Dylan Matthews to the inside of Aaron Abel. Leonard Kochmer in the 4 machine, and we got the command going. I forgot to stop that, but hey, you know what? Perfect time for that. We don't ever have a command go on, but this is the perfect time for it. You got Leonard Kochmer, Skylar Taylor. 93 is Vinny Scholes back for Evans Ross Racing. Joey Brown in the 80. 96 there, Felicity Mendoza. 13 of Josh Harmon. 25 this week is Emily Bull, her first start of the season. And then the 02 of Eric McDonald Ruiz, his second start of the season. All right, real quick, Mac, who's getting this race victory here tonight in the Old Dominion 200?
Those Trackhouse cars were fast at South Boston, and Zayden Davidson starts P3. I think he's going to get Trackhouse racing, and Reggie Fulgham a little redemption for last weekend.
We'll have to see how it all goes down. Here we go as they come across the line. 50 laps under the lights at the paperclip. Here we go. We're green flag for Sprint Series Night in America. And already a good jump there out of Zayden Davidson. Will he dive it into turn number 3? Not quite. Juan Romero is going to lead lap number 1 here at Martinsville. How about Baltazar Steep? He shoved Alexander Rowe out of the way. I think he made a 3-wide move there at the start of the race. And how about Davidson looking to the inside of Romero? Not enough of a momentum run right there. It takes a while for these tires to warm up. They actually get faster as the run goes along. A little bit different than what we saw last week at the Rockingham Speedway. Baltazar Steep, though, how about this? Already up to second now after starting 7th here tonight.
Baltazar Steep in that, the Intersis Motor Racing.
Know
also,
who that is.
Yeah, I know. Baltazar Steep, the brain kind of stopped there. The Intersis Motor Racing, Granton Autosport machine there. He's flying through the field. The 69 of Andrew Williams.
Someone went around, and our first yellow already. We actually went caution-free last week. It's the 96 Felicity Mendoza who went around. It's a tough break for her right there, and it looks like she got caught up with the 25 of Emily Bull. So a quick yellow flag, and that's not where you're supposed to be. It used to be a dual pit lane. Somehow that 53 of Duncan Ward got shoved into the old second pit lane right there.
Oh.
I have never seen that before. Thankfully, the pit road guy is transparent, and Duncan will get back out there on the racetrack. You know, he led a few laps last week at South Boston, and then kind of took himself out of contention after he smashed the outside wall right there. He's going to get himself back in position right here. Well, interesting start to the race here at the Martinsville Speedway. Hopefully, one thing, too, you may notice a slightly different looking racetrack here. Uh-oh, it looks like he stalled it.
Oh.
Man, that's, that's tough. That's tough. But, yeah, I was just about to say, you may notice a little bit of a different looking track than what we used to have. The grass is gone now in the corners, and we got the curbing red and white. Huge thanks to Herr for painting this one. So this is a newer version of Martinsville, but very similar I&I, as you can tell, where they really dive it into the corner. But one thing that we're hoping does get fixed with this newer version of Martinsville is they don't run into each other on the cool-down laps. It's something that used to happen quite a bit here. Hopefully we have toned that down a little bit, and we avoid unnecessary DNQs, I should say, DNFs, in these races as we go along. All right, let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the night to get back to racing here from Martinsville in the Old Dominion 200. Well, you see right here, Felicity Mendoza, Emily Bull off the exit of turn number 4. And Emily Bull just spins Mendoza around and into the inside wall. And that right there is sure going to bring out a caution here at the Martinsville Speedway. That's like right across the start-finish line where that happened. But a minor incident. Both drivers still on the lead lap. Let's go ahead and replay it in real time to get back to racing here from the Martinsville Speedway.
We see the 96 of Mendoza, the 25 of Bull, and I don't know what the 25 was thinking there, but they get back going. Not a lot of carnage, and these two are definitely still going to be racing tonight.
Well, at least one team member of the SC Avalon Racing team's doing good, and that's Juan Romero, who is still your race leader. Let's see what he does on the restart here in the Old Dominion 200 at Martinsville. We're back here at the Martinsville Speedway here for Sprint Series Night in America. And definitely a fun race. Duncan Ward is back out there. And according to this, still on the lead lap. So he got sent to the tail end of the longest line with all that. Everyone's still on the lead lap, thankfully. I've never seen that before. But, hey, first time for everything. Juan Romero in the 87. Won't be the first time he's led the field of the green flag in one of these races. Yeah, Baltazar Steep, Zayden Davidson, Andrew Williams also had a pretty good arc right there in that green flag run. He's up to 4th, and Brandon Nelson rounds out the top 5. Back underway on lap 9 of 50. Baltazar Steep looking to the inside of Juan Romero for the race lead, and it looks like he's going to be able to take it away, but don't look now. Here comes Andrew Williams, and this 69 is flying out here.
Yeah, this 69 of Andrew Williams. We saw the 69 machine. I cannot remember exactly who was in the machine for South Boston last week.
I think it was Duncan Ward.
Oh, it was, because that's how we created the meme, dunking that inside wall. But this 69 has shown some speed these past couple of weeks, and Andrew Williams putting it to good use. Hayden Davidson rebounding there, trying to get to the inside of Juan Romero, and Brandon Nelson hanging around the top 5. But yeah, that 69 is hooked up to this racetrack right now. Baltazar Steep's going to have a fight on his hands here soon, very, very quickly, if he keeps sliding that turn 4.
And like I said, these guys tend to overshoot quite a bit. Of course, we saw that a lot last week at South Boston. And very similar entry for these guys. They just get a little bit out of the groove, and then they go up into the wall almost. But these guys have a lot more grip off the exits here, and I think that's going to help them out from avoiding some calamity that might happen. Of course, you already had one caution, but everyone's still on the lead lap. It's Felicity Mendoza there at the end of the field. And, you know, that's all you got to do. For the race lead, Andrew Williams going to take it away there from Baltazar Steep, and already our third different leader in 13 laps here in Martinsville.
And we're seeing a lot of racing like last week at South Boston, where for the first 30 laps of the race, they were just swapping that lead back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I think they're going to do it again, because Brandon Nelson's going to get to the inside of Andrew Williams, and now he's going to get a really nice run down the back, and I think is going to be lead. Yes, he will. We're going to get another new leader here. And it's less cornering speed, but this is so far, there's a lot of similarities to what we...
Oh, another yellow. That's one similarity we didn't have. And I think it may have been Skylar Taylor, Josh Harmon that time. It's got a bit of a bump right there. Looks like they got sent around. So already our second caution of the night. A little bit of yellow fever. We got Bristol repeating again here. I'm hoping not.
I hope not.
They obviously aren't as crazy as they were in that Bristol Cup race. From what we've seen, they have a little bit more control coming off the corners, but we've had a couple of minor incidents that have brought the yellow out so far here tonight. So now Brandon Nelson leads the field, and he's 8th in the championship standings. Really haven't seen too much of him this year. Only one top 5 coming into this race. I'm sure Nathan would love to see his guy go to victory lane, and Baltazar Steep's down the pit lane right here. I don't think that's a scheduled stop, because we don't have any scheduled stops on the ovals here in the Sprint Series, only on the road courses. So very interesting there for Baltazar Steep, but maybe he's thinking maybe get some tires here, might have an advantage. You're allowed to do that, and that might be the case for Baltazar Steep. The tire wear just might be a little too much, and he's thinking, you know what, let's play a little strategy here. Because he's not had a good season. He's 13th in points, so at this point for him, I mean, it's still a long season, but he's 70 behind from the points leader of Alexander Rowe, which, by the way, this might be a story to keep an eye on. He's outside the top 10 right now on that 50 machine, so will this be the first race he doesn't finish inside the top 10? Let's have to see. All right, let's go ahead and see what happens. Bring up the second caution to get back to racing here in the Old Dominion 200 in the Herr Sprint Series from Martinsville.
Got a little wobble.
This was another interesting wreck here, and this might be the trouble spot this weekend here at the Martinsville Speedway. The exit at turn 4. Skylar Taylor and Aaron Abel, they just push off each other right here. You're going to see it here down the front stretch. And they don't get off each other. And unlike that first wreck, Taylor doesn't get spun into the inside wall. And they keep on going over in the turn number 4 like this. Well, they finally did get spun there. And that's going to send the 13 around, or should I say the 55 around. I think the 13 comes in the play here. Because Josh Harmon, oh yeah, came right up there. Already had the damage there. But I think he's going to get a little bit more right here. Duncan Ward in the 53. No, he was able to hold on to it. Yeah, they were glued down the front stretch and then into the outside wall went the 55 there.
You see 64 to the inside of the 55, and pretty similar, sort of similar to the first incident we saw. Just 2 drivers. Oh my good Lord. That is an absolute
That would have been a concussion in
hit.
2022 in the Cup Series car.
That is a CTE inducing hit for Skylar Taylor there. But that 55 holds up, and it's gonna be interesting to see if that 55 causes any issues in the lap as a lap car, because it might be a little off the pace.
Yeah, we had a lot of passing there as well during that whole cycle. Brandon Nelson is now your race leader. Let's see what he does on the restart here. In the ST or in the Old Dominion 200. I knew I was going to make that mistake at some point. The Old Dominion 200, the STP Old Dominion 500 is this Friday night at 6:30. So that's what you want to see as well. But let's see who gets it done here in Martinsville here tonight in the Herr Sprint Series. We're back here at the Martinsville Speedway Sprint Series night in America. Not even halfway, already 2 caution flags. I think we had a flip in this race last year with the Sprint Series, if I'm not mistaken. I think last year's Sprint Series race here was a bit wild, so no surprise to see it get a little crazy early on here in this one. We've already had 4 different leaders here tonight. Baltazar Steep got around Juan Romero early on, and then the floodgates opened for Andrew Williams and Brandon Nelson. Those 2 drivers are second and first, respectively. Zayden Davidson, Chris Reynolds, Emily Bowles a lap down, and then Juan Romero down in 5th. Here we go. Back underway with 31 laps to go here at the Martinsville Speedway. And Emily Bull, she might have some fresh tires because she came down the pit lane, hence why she's 2 laps down right now, so we'll have to see how she does. And we saw Baltazar Steep also take tires, and that was a scheduled, I mean, not necessarily a scheduled stop, but that was an intentional stop, not for damage or repairs, so we'll have to see what he can do on this run. Meanwhile, Brandon Nelson holding his line fairly well there ahead of Andrew Williams. Then you got Juan Romero trying to get 3rd back away there from the 99 of Zayden Davidson and Chris Reynolds. A good top 5 run for him right now. Of course, with Andrew Williams in the top 5, Chris Reynolds in the last transfer spot to make it on to Friday night's STP Old Dominion 500. And again, yellow flag. And this time, even more jam-ups for Skylar Taylor in the 55.
My goodness.
Brandon Nelson will win the race back to the line. You do a test race, you end up with like 1 caution, and you know, it's completely different when you actually record the race. And that's what happened with Bristol as well, by the way. So you just never know what you're gonna get.
That was at Grattan Autosport. That was certainly a that was a day of all time at Bristol.
Y'all actually had a pretty solid day there. Coda was a different story, unfortunately. That's probably going to knock Skylar Taylor out, and it looks like Eric McDonald-Ruiz also got caught up in this one, and there's heavy damage on that O2 machine. And all this has been happening in the back of the field. It's a lot like that Bristol Cup race that we had, because everything is just kept on happening in the back, and they raced it out quite a bit up front. We'll get halfway, though, at least in this caution, and on Friday we'll definitely have... We'll tone it down a little bit for the Cup guys, since there's more cars in the field, and then also, of course, we got ourselves 125 laps, so we don't want to see a repeat of Bristol. We're aiming for like 3 cautions, maybe, for that race, hopefully, or maybe 4. We'll be okay with 4 compared to that Bristol race we had. Oh boy. All right, so Brandon Nelson was able to hold on. What does he need to do on this ensuing restart to hold on to the race lead ahead of Andrew Williams?
I think he's gonna... I don't know. That 69 car looked like he was about to get to his inside right before the caution came out. So I'm not entirely sure. I think the thing that works right now in the most favor for Nelson, honestly, is that 25 car sitting there a lap down, holding up Juan Romero and Zayden Davidson from making it a full-on 4-car fight for the lead, because I think Nelson's going to have his hands full on this restart with Andrew Williams.
He definitely will. I'd imagine that 69 definitely has one of the faster cars. Of course, Brandon Nelson got around Andrew Williams before the second caution, and that's how he ended up with the race lead. But I know Ryan Durrani would love to get a race victory as an owner. It's got his full-time driver, Chris Reynolds, sitting pretty in the points right now, 42 behind. And speaking of the points, where's Alexander Rowe at? Oh boy, right there with Vinny Scholes on that edge of the top 10. That could get really, really interesting. That's all I'm going to say. That could get very, very interesting. And we're going to go ahead, skip ahead here. We've already seen what happened in the corner of your screen, so let's go ahead and get to racing here in the Old Dominion 200 for Martinsville. We're back here once again at the Martinsville Speedway. We're now past halfway finally, but already 3 cautions here tonight. Not exactly the thing we wanted to see here, but you know what? That's just the way short track racing is sometimes. And especially with the Sprint Series, I feel like, you know, the short track races in the Sprint Series are a little goofy. Pace car is down. Brandon Nelson, Andrew Williams again. Emily Bull, she is 2 laps down right now on that 25 machine. And you got Juan Romero, Zayden Davidson, Christian Master. That is the top 5. As they bunch back up for the restart in the restart zone. And actually the restart point is just beyond that restart zone, but we're back underway. And we got 23 laps to go this time around. Alexander Rowe making some moves back there to get himself back in the top 10. Oh, and a couple guys coming down the pit lane where they penalized on the start there. It kind of jams up in the back, and I'm wondering if that's the case for Duncan Ward and Joe Rutkowski. That's the first time I think we've seen that tonight. Meanwhile, back up front, Brandon Nelson holding on, getting a good run there on that outside, really gassing it off the exit. And Andrew Williams slipping back just a little bit, and now Emily Bull trying to gain one of her laps back, see if she can get around these 2 guys, and she's got a lot more speed in that car because she's got fresher tires, so we'll have to see if she gets around Brandon Nelson here. Guadaromero's still in contention for this win. He's third, and it's Christian Master rounding out the top 4, and Chris Reynolds in the 5th position. Corey Case there in 6th. Zayden Davidson, Santiago, and then you got Alexander Rowe there, now inside the top 10 once again. Vinny Scholes to the inside of her teammate, Dylan Matthews. Some good stuff going on in the back. We're going to go back up front here. And Brandon Nelson is going to have to be careful when Emily Bull gets to him because that 25 is going to get around the 92. But look at the gap now that Brandon Nelson has on Andrew Williams. That's the biggest lead we've seen all night.
Yeah, that 25 of Emily Bull being able to disperse of the 69 to Andrew Williams in a very quick fashion really opened
once again.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Who did it?
See, every time we've had a caution, they're already back in line and racing back to the line. So they keep on getting around and getting to it pretty quick. So these quick little spins that just keep happening. I mean, we see a lot of tire marks on the racetrack here. Making up for the fact we had no cautions last week, I guess.
Like a truck series race out here.
I think we're still better than that. Well, Brandon Nelson did not want to see that because he had a second lead before that caution came out right there. You see what happened to bring up this 4th caution there in the corner of your screen, or just on the screen entirely, because you know, you're not missing anything with these guys going around right now. So, do we see another caution here tonight, or will we get another one, and will Brandon Nelson have to fare a couple more restarts to get this race win?
Well, realistically, he's only going to have... they're running about, what, 3-4 laps in between. So far, I mean, 3-4 laps. He's only probably going to get, at the most, 2 more restarts. Because if a 3rd yellow comes out in the final 15 laps, that's going to end the race, realistically. So, I mean, we will see. If Emily Bull sends it immediately off the restart, gets to... If the 25... sends it immediately on the 92 and gets around him quickly, I think that opens the door for Andrew Williams. But if the 92 is able to hold off an attack for the first lap and a half, I think that could be a crucial key to victory for him here tonight. Because that tire disadvantage for Emily Bull is going to start to fade off here soon.
Well, we'll have to see how it ends up going down. Let's get to the restart here for the 4th time here tonight in the Old Dominion 200.
Oh!
Lap 31 here for Christian Master. We were just going to show this on the side, but this was around the 4th position, and Chris Reynolds just went into him, sent him around. He's going to lose a few positions from that, but It's a big deal because that might take Master out of running on Friday night in the Cup Series race. So, tough break there for him right there. And Brandon Nelson's going to have to fare another restart here in the 92 machine with the 25 of Emily Bull there. Slightly fresher tires, trying to get around them. Let's see how it all goes down on the restart here in the Old Dominion 200 from Martinsville. All right, we're going to restart with 14 laps to go here in Martinsville. Brandon Nelson trying to get his first win of the season, his first win on the channel in quite some time. If ever, actually. I don't know if he's ever won before, because I know his brother Brock's won a couple races in the past, but I don't know if Brandon has ever gone the victory lane before, so tonight could be his night. But he's got to be careful with lap car between him and Andrew Williams in second. Juan Romero as well as third. Chris Reynolds, Corey Case there in the top 5. All 5 of them have a good shot at winning this race, but the tires are starting to wear out up front, which may play in Brandon Nelson's favor. We'll have to see what his restart is like. Pretty good jump there on Emily Bull. He's got to enter the corner cleanly. Oh, and Romero's going to get passed by Reynolds right there. That's not going to work out too well for him. Gets stuck in that outside lane, and that 25 still right there with Brandon Nelson.
Yeah, that 25 is still right there with Brandon Nelson, but most importantly for Nelson is not trying to pass him. So this is going to be crucial now for Brandon Nelson. He's got to just start putting in hot laps, hope this race stays green. Here comes the 52 of Chris Reynolds underneath his teammate Andrew Williams, and then we got the 57 of Corey Case moving through the field underneath Juan Romero. That's a great run for Case, being able to move through here. Zayden Davidson moving his way back up here. So this is going to be an interesting final 12 laps here. This race as Davidson goes to the inside of Romero, but I mean, up front, it's now over a second in between first and now second. This is very important for Brandon Nelson. If it stays green, I like his chances more and more.
We'll have to see how this 92 can fare here in these last 11 laps. If Emily Bull gets around him, then it's game on for Chris Reynolds to possibly steal this one. But if not, that 92's got it. And I think the fact that Emily Bull is a little bit faster and still behind Nelson is actually helping that gap for Nelson to be over a second right here. And it looks pretty good right now. But he's got to be careful not to make a mistake. And NS Racing, unfortunately, has a recent history of blowing tires in the last lap. So it ain't over till it's over after what we've seen recently in the Wawa Cup Series. And you know what? Tires have actually been a bit of a topic here tonight, interestingly enough. In a Sprint Series race, we've had a couple guys make stops there. Speaking of which, where is Baltazar? You know, he's in the top 10 now. He's in the top 10 after making that stop. I'm sure you're seeing that, Matt, and a lot of these Cup guys are seeing that for Friday night's race. Of course, Friday night there will be a scheduled stop. You will have to make a stop in that race to make it all the way to the end. Meanwhile, you know, Emily Bull's right there. Of course, like we mentioned, 2 laps down on that 25, so she's not contending for the race lead. But if she gets Brandon Nelson out of line here in these final few laps, and that 52 might close right in.
52 might close right in, but I definitely think as the gap that time by did not change, and Nelson's just got to keep clicking off laps. I mean, he's built a big enough cushion that even if the 25 is able to put some pressure or get by, you got to like his chances because he's got that big cushion now. So he's got a little bit of buffer room, and he's likely not going to run into any lap traffic here over these final 6 laps. So it's just going to be hit your marks here, and if a caution comes out in about the next 2 laps, that's going to be the end of the race also. So it is looking here
not a good
Bull.
corner. Not a good corner at all for Brandon Nelson. And Emily Bull took a peek right there. She's got a nose this time. And if you're Brandon Nelson, you just got to let her go. You can't risk too much time here, because if you stay on that outside too long, that 52 is going to gain a lot of advantage, a lot more grip, a lot more speed on the inside through the corners. So Emily Bull will get one of her laps back, but it won't matter because we're at the point of no return here in this race. So now Chris Reynolds has a clean racetrack in between him and Brandon Nelson, but he's only got 3.5 laps to catch him for this race win.
3.5 laps to make up 1.2 seconds is a very, very, very tall task here at the Martinsville Raceway. Coming to the stripe this time, 3 laps to go. We'll see how it clocks in for Chris Reynolds. Only took less than a tenth of a second off of the gap And I don't know if Reynolds is going to have enough time there. I mean, this is still a great drive from Reynolds. Was able to drive his way up to P2. Has got nothing to hold his head down about. He's put in a great performance here tonight that'll help him in this title fight. But this has all been about Brandon Nelson here tonight. Controlled under pressure, under those restarts, and then was able to check out here and one lap away from a victory.
Now, here we go. White flag in the air in the Old Dominion 200. Able to run the last 15 laps under green, which was nice to see. Well, we knew they had him in them. That's how it was in the Cup Series as well, because, you know, we had a long green flag run in that one. And Brandon Nelson, 1.4 seconds on Chris Reynolds. He got the lead away from Andrew Williams and never looked back, and it's going to be, I believe, his first career win on the channel. Brandon Nelson for NS Racing gets the win in the Old Dominion 200 in Martinsville. Chris Reynolds, Andrew Williams, Corey Case, and Zayden Davidson. It's going to be Brandon Nelson, Chris Reynolds, and then Corey Case and Zayden Davidson racing on Friday night. Andrew Williams, an owner, he's ineligible to be in the hot seat. Juan Romero just missed out, and looky here, Alex Rowe holds on to that top 10 streak. 10 straight top 10s here in the Sprint Series for Alex Rowe. Wouldn't you believe it? What a run for him there. Fastest lap goes to Brandon Nelson, so he'll start on the pole next week at Texas. That'll be a faster race because we've only got 25 laps there on the mile and a half. Andrew Williams, Baltazar Steep with those fresher tires back in the field. Got a good run right there. And then Skylar Taylor, even though she got knocked out early on at the 4th quickest lap. Take a look at the rest of the fastest laps right there. And, you know, Alexander's streak might end next week. 19th on the fastest lap charts. Will start deep in the field for the Fort Worth 150. Take a look at the rest of it right there as well. In regards to next week's starting lineup, well, that was fun. That was a lot of fun there. And what are you looking forward to on Friday night with 125 laps with these Cup Series guys?
Well, I mean, maybe Baltazar learned something for us that we can use to our qualifying program, because that certainly has been non-existent for most of the season and has kind of cost us a lot. But I think the tires and being willing to take a swing at something in the tire game is going to be an interesting thing to watch for Friday night's race. You know, we saw here tonight a couple drivers were able. Baltazar Steep drove through the field. Emily Bull put in a really fast lap on those fresh tires, so it'll be interesting. You know, we saw last year. I mean, this race has not traditionally the past few years been a wreck fest for the Cup race, so we'll see how it progresses. But I think it'll be won and lost up pit road.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of fun on Friday night, as it always is for the Martinsville Speedway. I'm excited to see how it all goes down. We also have ourselves next week from the Texas Motor Speedway, the Herr's Elimination Series coming up for their second race, so that'll be fun there. And then we're at Texas for the Sprint Series and then the Cup Series next week as well. But all eyes are going to be on the STP Old Dominion 500 Friday night. See who gets it done in the 9th race of the season over there in the Wawa Cup Series. And we're closing in on the race for the chase. And that's going to be very interesting in a couple of weeks when we head to Talladega. We'll start really focusing on that cutoff line and who's going to be in, who's going to be out. Always a lot of fun once we get to that point. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching here tonight. Congratulations to Brandon Nelson for getting the job done here in Martinsville. And a huge thanks to Matt Tuck for joining me here for Sprint Series Night in America. Sign-ups for Texas are probably already up right now, so go ahead and sign up for that. Here are the points for the Sprint Series after 10 races this season. And on behalf of Matt Tuck, I will see you guys later.